Hey guys, I'm Jared, and today we're talking about what's new in board gaming as of April 8th, 2022. I'll be covering the latest news, announcements, most played games, hot new Kickstarters, and crowdfunded games, and more related to board gaming for the past 3 weeks. At the end, I'll also be sharing what's going on behind the scenes with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. So stick around, we've got a lot to cover. Leave me a like and comment on what kinds of updates that you want to hear more about. To make sure you don't miss my news updates, new video tutorials, and our podcast episodes, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and your preferred streaming platform. Up first, I'll cover all the current games being crowdfunded across various platforms. Just announced on Kickstarter is another game based on an 80s movie, My Bloody Valentine: The Game. In this retro horror board game, players must stop the killer miner from reaching the Valentine's Day dance and killing everyone. It's for 1 to 4 players and features images and characters from the 1981 movie. Jurassic World: The Legacy of Isla Nublar features 12 thrilling adventures for 1 to 4 players ages 10 and up with a playtime of 90 to 120 minutes. With reference cards, game mats, and more, you can find it on Kickstarter until April 11th. Set sail to study some of the world's most fascinating creatures and become the biggest contributor to Buffin's Encyclopedia. Draw cards and roll dice to take actions to fund research and study animals. This game is for 1 to 4 players aged 14 and up with a 25+ minute playtime. It's on Kickstarter until April 14th. Mr. Meeple Board Games' 5th anniversary t-shirts are available on Kickstarter until April 21st. Also on Kickstarter until April 12th is Casting Shadows, an immersive and strategic board game that uses a double-sided player board to simulate different locations. The expansion pack opens up the game to 6 players. Onus Trigonus Roman Empire is a battle miniatures game that uses cards in the place of miniatures. It is for 1 to 6 players ages 12 and up and a game time of over 30 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until April 14th. The Academic 133 Plus XL is a premium multifunctional box perfect for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, and the like. It is on Kickstarter until April 14th. Also on Kickstarter until April 8th is Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Unfolders, and Cypher System RPG. 2 different games, one great world, a campaign-based dungeon crawl board game, and an RPG system to go on endless adventures. It's for ages 14 and up, 1 to 4 players, and provides a game time of 60 to 90 minutes. Fire for Light is a 1 to 4 player, quick setup, narrative-driven, cooperative adventure game for ages 10 and up that provides a 60 to 90 minute playtime. It's on Kickstarter until April 11th. Continue the journey into terraforming Mars with new content for the hit standalone game Ares Expedition. It's on Kickstarter until April 8th. On Kickstarter until the 29th is Legacy of Thrax: The Awakening, an epic fantasy strategy game with unique semi-co-op elements. It's a special mix of a Mera adventure game and Euro resource management. It's for 1 to 4 players with a playtime of 30 minutes per player. Launch products, hire staff, and become the most successful startup in Silicon Valley. For 1 to 4 players ages 14 plus, it's an hour playtime and on Kickstarter until April 26th. Scamperland TCG is a trading card game where collection is unleashed. It's on Kickstarter until May 1st. The Quest Kids Big Bads of Tolk's Cave is a reprint plus an expansion. It's on Kickstarter until April 28th. The acclaimed dungeon crawler for young heroes 5 years old and up returns with base game, plus a new expansion. It has a playtime of 45 minutes and is for 2 to 5 players. Also on Kickstarter until April 29th is Barnyard, a wallet game. It's a 2-player card game about corralling animals on a farm. It includes a free expansion. Aldara is a fast-paced 4X combat-focused strategy game with 152 huge minis, buckets of dice, and an expansive world. On Kickstarter until April 28th and for ages 13 plus, 1 to 4 players, and has a playtime of 90 to 180 minutes. Mall Peak, an asymmetric 2-player game with epic meeples, is available on Kickstarter until April 26th. Return to Boar with all new Guardians and the Grizzar in the standalone cross-compatible sequel to Skulk Hollow. It's for 2 players ages 12 and up and provides a 40-minute playtime. Join one of the Critter clans and challenge your friends to a game of wits and focus, recommended for children ages 3 to 9. Critter Cards provides a 15-minute playtime and is for 2 players on Kickstarter until May 5th. Proxy War is a 2 to 8 player strategy game where players become dictators, rebels, and greedy foreign powers. It's for ages 12 and up and has a playtime of 2 to 3 hours on Kickstarter until May 5th. Also on Kickstarter to the 5th is Game Stormers, the perfect card game for game designers. It's a creative yet strategic tableau building game for 3 to 6 players where you design and pitch a game to win. It provides a 45 to 60-minute playtime. Defeat your romantic rivals and win at love in Master Dater, a messed up dating game from Cyanide and Happiness. Players ages 13 and up can match cards to create a perfect date for 3 interests. It has a playtime of 20 plus minutes and is for 3 to 6 players. It's on GameFound until May 5th. Improv Gamers 2nd Edition provides fun and easy exercises designed to take your tabletop or live-action gaming group to the next level. It's on GameFound until May 4th. Create colorful hydrangeas and mountains decorated with wooden animal tokens and 2 easy-to-play strategic Japanese-style board games. Fujiyama with Ajisai is a tile game for 2 to 5 players ages 8 and up and has a playtime of 20 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until May 3rd. On Kickstarter until the 6th is Borders Europe, the game about how countries fit together. Make the map with cards that include information about the countries and bodies of water that connect them. This game is for ages 6 to 12. Villains vs. the Game is on Kickstarter until April 17th. Collect evidence, capture villains, and fight to the death in this card game that features a thematically diverse collection of murderers, supernatural, and more. Empty Throne is a 2-player card game where 2 players vie to rule the realms and secure the throne. It's on Kickstarter until April 14th. One Particular Harbor consists of 14 mini-games: solitaire, a lively debate, pursuit, a verbal confrontation, a conversation over food, through the grapevine, a dance, a salvage mission, a battle at sea, a duel, fighting back-to-back, stealing time together, a nighttime swim, and an expedition. It can be played in a few hours with 3 to 5 players, and it's on Games on Tabletop until April 30th. In Mercurial, exact control over chaos with elemental dice as you craft spells and perform heroics in this solo competitive game for 1 to 4 players. It's for ages 14 and up with a playtime of 45 to 60 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until April 19th. Become the new Emperor of Rome in this building and strategic worker placement game set in Rome in 44 BC. Age of Rome is for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and has a playtime of 60 plus minutes on Kickstarter until April 15th. In Bonnie and Clyde, Love and Death, play as the famous desperado duo in their last run. Draw and resolve cards in this 1-player game available on Kickstarter until April 24th. Darkest Doom is a competitive strategy RPG game for 1 to 4 players. It has a dark fantasy setting inspired by 17th century Europe with anthropomorphic animals. It's for ages 14 plus and has a playtime of 90 to 150 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until April 12th. Akko Chronicles Cycle of Earth is a board game with miniatures where Akko and his companions will have to face the army of Karasu. It's a 1 to 5 player game which lasts between 60 and 120 minutes, which you can find on Kickstarter until April 13th. Also on Kickstarter till May 8th is Monster Voices, the raucous game for your inner monster. Each player is assigned a different monster and another player tries to identify which monster each player is. It's for 2 to 10 players. On Kickstarter until April 21st is Feralis Obscure Land, a competitive deck construction card game with 0 combat luck. It provides a 30 to 60 minute playtime for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up. Dead by Daylight, the board game, is a strategic survival horror experience for 3 to 5 players based on the video game. It has a playtime of 45 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until April 21st. A unique survival roll-and-write game is on Kickstarter, and Chronopia: Explore, Fight, and Craft during various scenarios and legacy campaigns. It features PvP, solo, and Battle Royale mode, and it's funding until May 1st. Nightmare Cathedrals for 1 to 4 players. Become a visionary, strategist, and more in this worker placement game for ages 14 and up with a 60-minute playtime. It's on GameFound until April 13th. In board game industry news, attendance at Gamma Expo in Reno last week was roughly on par with the 2020 event. The official count was 1,360 attendees, down only slightly from 1,395 in 2020. Gamma plans one more year for the expo in Reno, followed by a move to Louisville, Kentucky. Chris and Rita Birch, the co-founders of Modifius Entertainment, have launched Roll vs. Evil, a new not-for-profit organization to support frontline charitable efforts. The first campaign will support the people of Ukraine as they experience hardships brought on by the recent Russian invasion. Donations to Roll vs. Evil can be made by visiting their fundraising page. The Game Manufacturers Association recently began their 2022 board elections to fill the remaining 6 director positions. Members will have till March 31st at 12 p.m. to cast their ballot and vote for 1 candidate per group. Kickstarter's CEO, Aziz Hassan, is stepping down after 3 years as the head of the crowdfunding giant. His last day at the company will be April 4th, but Hassan said he will remain in an advisory position until Kickstarter's board of directors have selected his replacement. Jasco Games is expanding its distribution of My Hero Academia products, including the My Hero Academia CCG and My Hero Academia Plus Ultra board game to mass and specialty retail chains, in addition to hobby game stores. In March, mass retailers Walmart and Target and specialty retail chains Barnes & Noble and GameStop began receiving product. In April, distribution is expanding to Hobby Lobby, Books A Million, and Major, and in May to Walmart Canada. An international release is also expected. The Toy Association will now hold New York Toy Fair in the fall, moving from its normal February dates. The next Toy Fair will be held Friday, September 30th through Monday, October 3rd, 2023, over 18 months away. The 2022 February show was canceled in January at the height of the Omicron COVID surge. Gamma Expo will be held April 24th to 27th in 2023. The April dates are about 6 weeks later than the typical early to mid-March dates the show has had for years. This date move is temporary and was made as a result of the show's cancellation in 2021. Asmodee USA has recently announced new distribution partners for 2022 to include Transatlantis Games, Spin Master, and more. Now let's take a look at some of the newest games announced. There's a bunch. From Bombix comes a new area control game called Garden Nation coming later this year. Clans of little people have been exiled from the forest and taken over an abandoned garden. Build up a miniature town, then seize control of it. The game features a 3D city that builds as the game goes on. It's for 2 to 4 players and will retail for $59.99. Pegasus Spiel just announced a racing game called Raccoon Robbers coming this quarter. Control raccoon gangs looking for leftover food. Be the first to reach the golden trash can using cards to move about the neighborhood and backyards. For 2 to 4 players and plays in 30 minutes. Pendragon Game Studio unveiled Escape from New York, a new board game based on the John Carpenter cult film, which will be released pending a successful crowdfunding campaign. It kicks off in Q4 this year. Amigo Games has just shipped Bonanza Anniversary Edition, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the game's release, into retail. The Bonanza Anniversary Edition comes with a commemorative coin and includes the expansion pack. This game is for 3 to 7 players ages 13 and up and plays in 45 minutes. Ares Games will be releasing the English language version of Galacta Games' retro sci-fi board game The Shadow Planet into the trade this July. It is intended for 3 to 5 players ages 14 and up and takes about 90 minutes to play. Leader Games announced Ahoy, a new privateer area control game which will hit retail in late 2022. In Ahoy, players take control of captains who, as the game progresses, gain crew, and this game is for 2 to 4 players and plays in 45 to 75 minutes. Hatchet Board Games will release Northgard Uncharted Lands, a new board game by Studio H based on Shiro Unlimited's popular video game, and coming to retail August 2022. It's for 2 to 5 players ages 13 and up and plays in 45 to 90 minutes. Van Ryder Games and Lucky Duck Games have partnered to produce The Dark Quarter, an app-driven game of supernatural mystery set in 1980s New Orleans, releasing later this year. The Dark Quarter uses an app to drive the game, telling stories over a series of linked scenarios where the decisions of the players determine the course of the overall campaign. Lucky Duck Games announced Pocket Detective Season 1, a new crime-solving pocket game by Lavka Games, which will release in Q3 this year. The game is for 1 to 6 players ages 14 and up and plays in 1 hour. Van Ryder Games' upcoming release, Keepers, is a family-friendly card game launching this summer and recently announced at Gamma Expo. In Keepers, players try to score points by matching picture cards in their hand with theme words offered by that round's curator. Keepers is intended for 3 to 8 players, ages 8 and up, and plays in about half an hour. Arcane Wonders will release Mobile Markets, a Smartphone Inc. game, into retail after Gen Con 2022. Mobile Markets is a standalone game that is part of the Smartphone Inc. series. The game is for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in 60 minutes. Fantasy Flight Games will release Unfinished Business, a new expansion for Star Wars Outer Rim, into retail on June 6th. This expansion supports 1 to 4 players ages 13 and up and plays in 180 minutes. Arcane Wonders will be releasing Mortem Medieval Detective, a cooperative supernatural mystery game set in the Middle Ages, into the trade. The game is designed to teach players how to play as they pursue the first case with no rulebook. It is intended for 1 to 6 players ages 14 and up, with each mystery taking 2 to 3 hours to resolve. Wingspan will be joined by another bird-themed board game, Birdwatcher. Designed to support 1 to 5 players, Birdwatcher is a board game that sees its competitors becoming rival photographers attempting to capture photos of rare bird life. Bridge Constructor, the popular video game about building haphazard crossings, is getting its own board game adaptation. A Kickstarter campaign for Bridge Constructor Breaking Point is set to launch sometime in September, with pledge amounts yet to be confirmed. Asmodee will release Bureau of Investigation, Investigations in Arkham and Elsewhere, a new cooperative mystery-solving game on May 20th. This game is for 1 to 8 players ages 14 and up and plays in 1.5 hours. Mythic Games will release Enchanters, a fantasy card drafting game, into US retail in the Q4 of this year. In Enchanters, players are out to save villages from monsters by using cards from a communal pool generated by shuffled up kingdom decks. This game is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in 30 to 60 minutes. Pegasus Spiel unveiled Framework, a new tile placement game by Uwe Rosenberg, which will release into retail in 2022. This new deep abstract game consists of 120 tiles and 88 game pieces. This game is for 1 to 4 players ages 8 and up and plays in 30 minutes. Asmodee will release Canvas, a spatial puzzle game by Road to Infamy, into US retail on April 15th. This game is for 1 to 5 players ages 14 and up and plays in 30 minutes. Washington-based tabletop RPG publisher Heart of the Deernicorn is stepping outside its wheelhouse with a competitive card game called Bad Baby Lich Lords. This will be the first card game Heart of Deercorn has designed, and the outfit is partnering with Panda Game Manufacturing to help with production. Asmodee will release Chronicles of Avel, a cooperative board game by Rebel Studio, into retail May 6th. Chronicles of Avel is a cooperative board game where players assume the roles of brave heroes and heroines out to save their magical land. This game is for 1 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, and plays in 1 to 1.5 hours. Restoration Games will release Unmatched Marvel Hell's Kitchen, a new unmatched set featuring Daredevil and Elektra miniatures, into retail April 20th. This game is for 2 to 3 players ages 14 and up and plays in 20 to 40 minutes. Restoration Games also revealed Unmatched Marvel Redemption Row, a miniatures board game for release into retail on April 20th as well. The battle map included in this set is the Raft, and it comes with new item tokens that produce potent effects. Asmodee will release Azul Queen's Garden, a new board game into US retail on April 15th. In Azul Queen's Garden, players are headed back to the Palace of Sintra, and they must be up to the challenge of arranging plants, trees, and ornamental features. This game is for 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up and plays in 45 to 60 minutes. Skybound Tabletop will release Wonderland War, a new strategy board game, into retail April 20th. In this game, players will take charge of one of the 5 Wonderland factions and fight for area control. The game also features a bag-building combat system that makes battles quick. This game is for 2 to 5 players ages 13 and up and plays in 75 to 90 minutes. Knuckle Duster Miniatures will release Gunfight Royale, a new board game for retail in 2022. This is a move-and-shoot tactical board game where players roll dice to move and collect items. This game supports 2 to 6 players and is for ages 14 and up. Asmodee will release Dawn of the Zeds 3rd Edition, a cooperative board game, May 13th. In this cooperative States of Siege game, players have to fend off the undead as they attack Farmingdale. The game is for 1 to 5 players ages 14 and up and plays in 90 to 120 minutes. Pegasus Spiel revealed Reiner Knizia's Turtle Mania, a new board game for release in Q2 this year. In Turtle Mania, players try to help their different colored turtles onto an island. The island has limited space that can't possibly accommodate all of these sunbathing turtles. The game is for 2 to 4 players ages 5 and up and plays in 15 to 25 minutes. Renegade Game Studios has announced a new cooperative game, My Little Pony: Adventures in Equestria deck building game, and it supports 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and requires 45 to 90 minutes to play. Mythic Games is now taking pre-orders for a reprint of the Solomon Kane core box. The pre-order is available on the Mythic Games website. They are scheduled for delivery in Q3. Now available from Floodgate Games, Decorum is a game of passive-aggressive cohabitation. 2 to 4 players will decorate their house. Each player has hidden objectives for how they want the house decorated, and the goal is to cooperatively find a setup that fulfills all players. Lookout Spiel is releasing an Easter-themed version of designer Alexander Pfister's Oh My Goods called Oh My Goods Easter Edition. The artwork is once again provided by Clemens Franz. The game supports 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up and takes about 30 minutes to play. The creator behind Lords of Waterdeep has designed a new Marvel board game. In the game, 2 to 5 players compete with one another to gain the most influence, control, and wealth in the city of Waterdeep, which is situated on the Sword Coast. As rival lords or secret rulers of Waterdeep, players will utilize their various resources, including agents and adventurers, to exert their will and claim their prize. A 15th anniversary version of Agricola, a board game from the designer of Patchwork, Uwe Rosenberg, is on its way. Agricola is a board game for 1 to 5 players that sees opponents becoming farmers with big dreams of expansion and a huge struggle to achieve those dreams. Czech Games Edition has announced an expansion for the relaunched Galaxy Trucker game called Keep On Trucking, set to premiere at this year's Gen Con Game Fair in August. On the Meeple Mentor YouTube channel, a lot of new unboxing videos have come out recently. First, there was Dark Ridge Reunion, a cool hidden role game where someone at your high school reunion is a murderer. It comes with badges, lanyards, and even a foam knife for a weapon. I also filmed an unboxing for the Star Wars card game Sabacc, exclusively available at Galaxy's Edge. You'll recognize the cards from the Han Solo movie. I opened the newest Kickstarter expansion to Architects of the West Kingdom called Works of Wonder. In it, you'll be able to build new wonders that are actual wooden pieces. Much more content overall, so check out the video. The final new unboxing video on the channel is for Dead Reckoning, a cool pirate game with card crafting and cube tower rolling. I can't wait to play it. This news episode is more than 2 weeks since I was on a family vacation last week. We went to Orlando and visited several theme parks and saw some family. The kids loved it. The most recent Jay's Takeaways video was on Patchwork. I think all the Patchwork games are great. I have the Valentine's Day one. Listen in to why you should play it. The latest podcast episode was number 37, and Steven and I decided to make a game together. We start brainstorming ideas and go through all our favorite game mechanisms, or at least ones we might consider for our game. Also, the most recent tutorial video on the channel is for Winter Kingdom from Queen Games. It's a cool area control kingdom expansion type of game with variable scoring each time you play. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in to today's news update. I appreciate your support. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.